May, it's National Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we are talking about the importance of diversity in clinical trials. So let's welcome Dr. Randall Morgan. Now, he's a health disparities expert and joined by Ramona Burris, and who helps lead a team at Janssen focusing on that ensuring diversity in clinical research. So let's start with Dr. Randall Morgan. And Doctor, why is it so important to have diversity in clinical trials?
Well, thank you very much for the question, Mike. A clinical trial is a research study that answers specific questions about new medications and also can help us learn more about certain health conditions. And because of that, we have found that over the years, it's important to have representation in clinical trials of people from different ages, races, sexes, and ethnicities, as well as people who live in different parts of the world, because our bodies can react differently to various medications. So that it's important that the clinical trial process include everyone, and that everyone is willingly participating and understanding the importance of their participation.
Very good. That makes sense. In fact, can you tell us a bit more of how the clinical trial works?
Well, the clinical trial begins when a medication that is under trial has been approved to even enter the trials by certain regulatory bodies, such as the FDA. And then these trials have 4 phases, which begin with smaller studies just to test the medication itself and how it affects animals, and then in small amounts, humans. And then subsequently larger trials that show how that medication is compared to existing medications. So it's a process that takes quite a bit of time, but it is very well regulated, and we can have confidence in the process once it is completed.
Let's talk more about confidence for folks that have some hesitancy to joining one of these clinical trials.
We're committed to ensuring that there is education and awareness, and that begins with partnerships like leaders such as Dr. Morgan and the Cobb Institute. But we have a great website, Research Includes Me, that offers access for communities, patients, to go and learn more about the clinical trials process, to Dr. Morgan's point, because we know that education is empowering and it allows, that first step that's necessary so that we continue to have dialogue. And if there is interest, patients, community members can go have those conversations with their healthcare provider about potential opportunities.
And Ramona, what is being done to improve the diversity in these clinical trials?
Partnerships is key. And so from a Janssen perspective, we're also looking at how can we remove some of the barriers, because we know that there is underrepresentation, but particularly important in communities of color. So again, partnerships with Cobb Institute, Dr. Morgan, and other leaders in this space to be the voice, that expertise to drive conversations and dialogue so that we can continue to partner with the community. But that starts with having honest conversations such as today.
Okay, and tell us some more about this research and the resources.
Yes, so Research Includes Me, right? An empowering statement. So it's a website that's full with resources so that folks can learn more about the clinical trials process, the different phases, to learn more about how participants' rights are protected in research space. But again, there's also a search tool engine where folks can go and find, information about clinical trials that are in their areas, if there's any interest. And again, to kind of kickstart those conversations with their primary care physicians and healthcare providers.
Very good. I really appreciate you both.
And that's a very important point. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, and where can folks go for more information?
ResearchIncludesMe.com. Remember that.
Okay.
And also they can go to their primary physician. I think that's a very important access point for clinical trials. And so that's in our associations, that's how we improve the participation of our patients in clinical trials.
All right, diversity, inclusion, and getting to the doctor. Very good. I really appreciate you both. And of course, head to our website for more on this, and that's firstcoastliving.net.